Hi folks, it's Marvin Music with MedicareSchool.com, and we want to welcome you to our live event tonight. Looking forward to sharing some details about Medicare and this topic that our producer has selected this evening, and then taking your questions. This is probably one of my top events of my week, being able to answer your questions and try to give you some guidance about your particular situation. We know sometimes it can be very difficult to get a straight and accurate answer, and so that's what we try to provide for you. We're going to tell you the truth. We're going to answer your questions, and if your question has to do with Medicare or Social Security, we're happy to field those tonight. So if you want to start putting those in the chat, feel free to do so. I am going to cover a topic real quickly that I think will also be very beneficial for you. And just before I get into that, I do want to remind you a couple things. We're in Central Time, so our office right now is still open. It's 5 Central Time here, right outside of Kansas City, Missouri. And so if you have a need for immediate assistance, don't hesitate to call in. We have agents that I have trained that would be happy to assist you beyond what I can do this evening during our Q&A time. And then if you're not a part of our Facebook group, please join. We'd love to have you be a part of that. If you're not a subscriber to our YouTube channel, we'd love for you to do that as well. Every time we put out new content, you're notified about that. And really our goal as a company is to be the nation's most trusted resource for Medicare education and enrollment assistance. And we strive every day to accomplish that goal and to help people all over the country with their Medicare planning. And so reach out to us if we can help in any way beyond what we'll do tonight. I'm going to cover this topic here about what it means to be using a Medicare agent. And though agents should be free to use, sometimes they actually come with a cost. And this really is a warning, because I have been in this business now 16 years, and I've seen plenty of people that have used agents that have cost them a tremendous amount of money. And so it is a hidden cost. It's a cost that you may not be thinking about, but something that you must absolutely be aware about. So first off, if you're dealing with an agent that is not well-versed and knowledgeable about helping you go on Medicare at the right time. Folks, I have seen people personally that have come to me that have gotten bad advice, and one lady cost her $80,000 because she did not enroll into Medicare at the right time. Bad advice. We have people within our organization, they've had stories even beyond that. And I know it sounds drastic, but it is true. So many agents today may be able to help you once you have a Medicare number, but can they make sure that you're getting on Medicare at the right time? Because really, frankly, that's the most important decision that you have to make. Are you starting Medicare at the right time? And we know that there's groups of people that must start Medicare at 65, and there's some that don't have to, and some that should not. And then there's some that don't have to but should. And so let me just kind of clarify what I mean by this. First off, there are 5 groups of people that have to go on Medicare at 65. And if you're dealing with an agent that is not aware of all the rules, you need to know this. Number one, anyone who's no longer working or your spouse is no longer working, you have to go on Medicare at 65. You're required to. You just don't have any other viable options whatsoever. And many times people think that an ACA plan may be an option for them, when the reality of it's not. And the reason for that is because if you're on an ACA plan right now, more than likely you're getting some kind of a subsidy. They come with financial incentives. Those could be premium tax credits. Those can be cost sharing reductions, reduced premiums. And so the point is there's lots of incentives with ACA plans today. Now, with this new bill that's being proposed, some of that's going to go away, folks. But for now, everyone is pretty well incentivized. But what happens when you turn 65, those incentives go away. So you may be getting premium tax credits, you may be getting cost share help with deductibles, copays, and those kind of things, but at 65, all of those go away. So if you stay on an ACA plan at 65, you'll pay full premium. You'll not get any premium tax credit the following year. You'll pay full deductible, full max out of pocket. So ACA plans are not going to be a good decision for many people. And so that's one. So if you have an agent that's not aware of that and is advising you that you're fine to stay on there, they're wrong. They could cost you a tremendous amount of money. Secondly, anyone that's covered by COBRA insurance. A lot of agents aren't aware of this, but when you are on COBRA and turn 65, what happens is some people get that COBRA paid for by their employer for sometimes 12 or 18 months, and they want to stay on that COBRA because the employer pays for it. Well, what happens is if you're Medicare eligible, meaning you're 65 or you're losing an employer plan, you have to go on Medicare A and B at 65 because that COBRA plan moves to the second payer position. It will no longer pay first. And I have seen that mistake time and time again. Why? Because of bad advice. And so you have to go on Medicare at 65 if you're covered by COBRA. And Medicare pays first, COBRA pays second. If you fail to do that, then you become the first payer. So again, a very critical mistake that people make. And so my whole point is this: be sure you're dealing with an agent that understands the ins and outs of the Medicare enrollments and all the timing to make sure you're making the right decision, because it could cost you a tremendous amount of money. Now, the second issue would be if you're dealing with an agent that will not give you all of your options for Medicare insurance. They also could cost you drastically. Frankly, many agents today are actually pushing Advantage plans. They push them because it's an easy sell for them. Advantage plans come with a few perks that look attractive. Usually they're zero premium, but there's some issues that result when people have Advantage plans, and that is you're going to have to deal with networks. You may find your doctor's in the network this year, but then they leave the network, or the hospital you're in pulls out of the network. We see that happen regularly. So agents that push Advantage plans are doing so because it's in their best interest that you take an Advantage plan, because we get twice the commission. We get lifetime residual income with Advantage plans. So we truly are paid a tremendous amount more commission with Advantage plans than we are if you go with a supplemental plan. But an agent that is not well versed in supplemental plans, that really does not understand how that system is going to work and how it's going to differ from an Advantage plan, could cost you dearly. Why? Because they're telling you, take the Advantage plan. Take that little dental allowance, those hearing aids, and that gym membership, and they want to talk about all the perks, but what they don't want to talk will be some of the really the dark side, the disadvantage of Advantage plans, and that would be networks. And folks, I can tell you right now, there are some plans that are PPOs. There are many that are going to be HMOs, and I think next year we're going to see primarily HMO plans, and that means you have to stay in those networks. So you have to realize there's consequences to a decision to take an Advantage plan, and the biggest one is you're going to be restricted with providers. The best network we can find today is going to have half the doctors available. That means the other half are not available to you. If you have a supplemental plan, you can go to any doctor that takes Medicare. Again, an agent that's honest, that will care about you, will talk about networks. They'll also talk about the reality of pre-authorizations. Now, I know the government is trying to work at getting this pre-authorization problem reversed, but it's not going to turn around overnight. I can guarantee you that. This whole pre-authorization movement is voluntary by the insurance companies. They tried this in 2018 and did not succeed. I hope they do this time. But the reality is Advantage plans have pre-authorizations. 70% of the time, a service that you're going to need is going to have to be pre-approved by the insurance company, which means they have the final say-so, not your doctor at all. And so you have to live with that decision. Again, the agent makes more money, but you have to now live with pre-authorizations. And again, they'll approve things, but about 25% of them are going to be reviewed. And some of those get delayed, some of those get denied, and so it can be very problematic. And then lastly, a lot of people don't realize that when it comes to Advantage plans, they are not permanent. They're 1 year at a time. They change. The company can improve the plan the following year. They can pull the plan off the market. They can decrease the benefits. So they can change anything they want to. So if someone wants a permanent plan, one that they can count on really for the rest of their life, that would be a supplemental plan. And so the whole point is this: be sure you're dealing with an agent that will tell you about both options, because if you get on an Advantage plan and you stay on it a year or 3 years or 5 years and want to get off of that, and your health has changed, you will not be able to get off your Advantage plan. You will permanently be on that Advantage plan because you only have a limited period of time to be able to get a supplemental plan with no underwriting. And so that agent who recommended that Advantage plan can really hurt you financially, because now you're stuck on that Advantage plan with pre-authorizations, with network restrictions, plans that are changing every year, and that can be very annoying for people. So not only is it really a hassle of having to be sure you're on the right Advantage plan and renewing that on an annual basis, it could also cost you a lot of money out of pocket, because if you have an illness, almost always people with illnesses spend more money out of pocket on the Advantage plan than they would in premiums on a supplemental plan. And the whole point is this: you want an agent that will tell you about all your options, subs, and Advantage plan, the ins and outs of those, to be sure that you're really clear and confident in the decision that you make. So I know how agents are. They want to guide you to that typically that will pay them the most money, and that would be Advantage plans. And in the long run, that could cost you dearly. All right. Okay. So tonight we're going to take questions. Really, anything that you want to ask me, feel free to do so in regards to Social Security or Medicare. Our producer Daniel is with me, so he's going to give me the questions. And so be sure that we understand your question. Be concise, but don't be so concise that we're not sure exactly what you're asking. All right, Daniel, I'm ready to go. All right, what is the process? Is it possible if you already are with a broker, subscribed on an plan and would like to switch to another broker, your firm, can you keep the same insurance company? Okay, well, usually not. But here's what I would say to you. If you picked out a plan that you're happy with, I would not switch. You go with us, and we'd love to represent you, but most companies do not give us what's called an agent of record change. Now, if that agent's no longer in the business, then there could be a possibility of that. But again, we'd be delighted to serve as your broker, but normally to get a different broker, you're going to have to get a different plan, different company. Now, if someone's on a G and they move to an N, we could do that. So there are some switches we can make, but typically if you're very happy with your plan, I would recommend that you stay there for sure. And if that agent will not help you, then you could reach out to that company's customer service team. So we do have that happen a lot, where people say, hey, we'd love to be with you, but it's pretty hard to do an agent record change in today's market. So love to serve you, but probably not going to be possible. Let's keep going. All right. Good evening, Marvin. Will you guys be open this Monday? It's time for me to make that call, turning 65 October. Thanks. Yes, we will be open Monday. We are closing Thursday and Friday for 4th of July holiday, but we'll be open Monday. Our hours are 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday to Thursday, and then 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. On Fridays. And so reach out to us Monday, and we'd be delighted to help you. Thank you. All right. Is there a better plan than G that is for an elderly senior who lives in a board and care home? Well, Flora, I don't think so. The most comprehensive plan today for people that started Medicare after 1/1/2020 is the G plan. So you do have the most comprehensive plans available. And I want to encourage you, as far as medically necessary care, the only thing you'd ever be out of pocket on the G plan would be the Medicare B deductible. Everything else is going to be covered by Medicare and the supplemental plan, but the B deductible. So this year that's $257. Now, what happens if you're in some kind of a nursing home situation, then your Medicare or your Med Sup plan is not going to pay for custodial care. Medicare and SUPs pay for medically necessary care, but that does not include custodial. So I think that maybe what you're talking about as far as nursing home. And so if you find yourself in a nursing home situation, there would be no way to get any kind of a long-term care type of coverage moving forward, because you wouldn't be able to qualify. But as far as medical is concerned, the G plan is the most comprehensive plan. Now, just so you know, prior to 1/1/2020, we did have a plan that was a little bit more comprehensive called the F plan. And there's people that have F plans today, and the only difference is the F covered all the gaps, G covers all the gaps but one. So F covered the B deductible, G does not. And that's that $257 that I was talking about. So that's the only difference. And frankly, a lot of people today that are on Fs are even moving to Gs, because the Fs are quite a bit more expensive than G plans. And so you may pay $50, $75 a month more for an F plan, and you're only getting out a B deductible benefit. So that's $257 for the whole year. So I wouldn't want to pay $600 to $1,000 extra a year just to get a $257 benefit. That's not that make financial sense. And so those that are on Fs, if they can qualify, they should go to a G plan. So that's really the best plan today, in my opinion. All right, let's keep going. Okay, does Medicare ever require so-called sham procedures before the actual procedure, like Advantage plans do? Ablations, okay. Well, here's the way it works. Medicare has very few pre-authorizations. My understanding is this: the only reason that the pre-authorization would be required with Medicare would be if they have found that a particular procedure has been abused. I think that's when they would entertain the possibility of adding a pre-authorization. I just read an article this week where there was some abuse within the Medicare system for people that were on hospice, and there were groups that were actually applying artificial skin, very expensive artificial skin procedures to people that were on hospice, meaning 6 months or less to live. And so that was clearly fraud and abuse. And so it could be, they could say, okay, in those kind of situations, you're in hospice and someone is wanting to apply artificial skin, then that may be a pre-authorization. But it's not going to be your typical Medicare Advantage pre-authorization where, to get a knee replacement or a hip replacement or an MRI or a CAT scan or extended skilled nursing stays. Those occur all the time. Those kind of pre-authorizations do not occur in original Medicare and with supplemental plans. Okay, so I'm not going to say they would never occur, but again, I think it would be in the area where they have found some fraud and abuse that would occur. Otherwise, you should see very little, if ever, a pre-authorization in original Medicare. Great question, by the way. Thank you. All right, I turned 65 in April and still working. I have insurance through work. Do I need to sign up? Stephen, the only reason you would need to sign up is if you are working for an employer that has 20 employees, has 19 employees on the payroll or less. If you're in a small group, 19 or less on the payroll, then yes, you have to sign up for Medicare A and B. But as long as you're employed by someone that has 20 or more employees on the payroll, then you're not required to do Medicare A or B. Now, I want you to know that I do encourage people that don't have HSAs to go ahead and enroll into A only. A is zero premium for most people. It's very easy to enroll. And then what happens on the A of Medicare, if you did go to the hospital, if you have any kind of co-insurance that you're responsible for, Medicare may help pay for some of that. Your employer plan always pays first when there's 20 or more employees. Medicare pays second. But again, A is zero cost. It pays second. It could pay co-insurance on a hospital claim. So I encourage people to take A only. Now listen, if you are still contributing to an HSA, then I would not do A only. I would do nothing, wouldn't do A or B. But again, only about 10% of the population even have HSAs. So if you have an HSA, you're still working, do nothing. If you don't have an HSA, then I would do A only to go ahead and get all of that set up, and then you can pick up B whenever you lose the employer plan in the future. All right, my annual bring home is $38K. I live alone, so have all expenses. My Medicare costs me $202 a month. I'm 78. Does this seem right? Or can my copay be less? Okay, so Devetta, I'm assuming that you have a Medicare supplemental plan. If you're saying my Medicare costs me $202, because right now Medicare Part B premiums are $185, so you're saying $202. So I sure wish I knew what you're talking about when you say your Medicare. Is there a way you can just type back in there, Daniel, kind of track that for us and see what she's talking about? Yeah, because I may have some options, but I have to know more to give you a good answer. Okay, is that your supplemental plan, or you're saying that's what you're paying for? What? Yeah, because Medicare B premiums are not $202; they're $185. So let me know a little bit more about that, and then I can answer your question. Let's keep going. If you're on Medicare Advantage and need a new dental procedure in terms of dental implant for someone living in Houston, can you recommend a Medicare Advantage plan? Okay, well, here's what I would do. Call the office, if you will. Just call in and then tell the agent that you're looking for an Advantage plan that would cover dental implants. Okay, now I know this, some are not going to, but some could cover comprehensive. The issue you're going to run into, though, unless you're on Medicaid, you're probably going to get only maybe $1,000 or $1,500 a year in a dental plan. Even if it covers an implant, that's not going to go very far for you. So that's the issue. Now, if you're dual eligible, which means you're eligible for Medicare and Medicaid, then we can probably find a plan for you that may cover $3,000 or $4,000 in an annual benefit for dental, and that's going to stretch farther, and then you can actually get some good help. So you're going to have to call in and let us know your zip code, let us know your situation, and then we can see if there can't be a dental add-on benefit attached to a certain Advantage plan in your area that would be attractive for you. And we're happy to do the homework on that. It does not take very long for us to search that out for you. So give us a call and we'll help you. All right. Okay, what is the best Advantage plan? Well, I can't say there is a best because that varies market to market. I can tell you this, if you can get good coverage for doctors and hospitals, I still prefer PPO plans. PPO plans do allow you to go out of the network if you want to. Now, it costs you a little bit more extra to do that, but at least you have the option to go out of the network. So I prefer PPO plans. And I'm not saying HMO plans are bad, but HMO plans can be more restrictive in that you have to stay within the network. If you go out of the network in most HMO plans, you don't have coverage. So when I talk, someone asked me about best, so I would first of all begin with a PPO plan if you can get good coverage. The second thing I'd look at would be what's the max out of pocket? Is that a plan that's $4,000, $6,000, $7,000? So I'd want to know what my max out of pocket is for the year and the networks. And then I'd want to know, really what their star ratings are. How have they done? How have they performed? Are their star ratings, there's 5 total stars. If it's a plan that's 4 or so, 4.5, that's awesome. If it's 2.5 or 3, probably not real good. Those star ratings are there for a reason for the consumers to be able to look at that. So those are the different things that I would look at. And then I'd like to know, how long has that plan been around? Is it a brand new plan? Because sometimes a company introduces a new plan and they're just kind of testing the waters. If it doesn't do well, they're going to pull that plan. Now you go get a different one. So there's a lot of things that actually go into the decision whether that's best or not. So there is no best, but I would say there are certain better quality of plans in every market, and that's going to vary company to company. All right, so I'm not trying to skirt your question, but I really couldn't tell you because I don't know where you live, and we'd have to find out your medications, your doctors, and all that to find out what's really best for you. All right, your impression of the Mutual of Omaha. I think Mutual of Omaha is a fine company. I would tell you that my personal experience with them, and we have lots of clients with Mutual of Omaha, I would say in some markets they are not as stable as what I would like them to be. And so that's my only hesitancy in some areas. Now, if Mutual of Omaha has a good market share in a certain area, then they're going to probably be stable. But that's been my one issue with them. They tend to, in some markets, raise their prices more drastically, more frequently than other companies. And again, I'm not bad-mouthing them. I think they're awesome. And I think they serve, their customer service is very good. Agent service is very, very good. But I'm also looking for good stability of rates. And some markets, I've just not been impressed with that with them. Others, again, been pretty good. But when we look at a market, and people ask us to be their broker, we're gonna shop it. We're gonna look at initial premiums, but we're also going to look at stability of rates over the last 10 years. We usually have those numbers available to us, and we share that with you. And so that's my 2 cents about them. Okay, let's keep going. Which supplemental plans include gym membership? Well, right now, there's only 2 possibilities, okay? Now, I want you to know the majority of supplemental plans do not cover any perks like gym membership. But in some markets right now, you'll find that Anthem Blue Cross may offer a gym membership as an add-on, and then United Healthcare. United Healthcare in most markets has 2 different plans. One is called United Healthcare, and the other one is called United Healthcare, United Health Insurance Company of America. We call it UHICA. So you have UHC and UHICA. And so UHC includes a gym membership as well as discounts for dental, vision, and hearing. UHICA does not. It's just a straight G plan or a straight N plan. But again, usually you're going to pay a little bit more for that gym membership option, and that would be the straight United Healthcare plan. Okay, and sometimes it's worth it. I had a lady just recently. United Healthcare was in her market, had a decent premium, and the gym she wanted to go to cost her $100 a month. But United Healthcare covered that gym membership, so that was a great value, frankly, a very easy decision for her. And so they have their own network. It's called Renew Active. The majority of plans where there is a gym membership, which are Advantage. That's called Silver Sneakers Network. But United Healthcare is so large, they put their own network together a few years ago called Renew Active. All right, so hope that helps. And then if you find like a Blue Cross that covers it, that's probably going to be Silver Sneakers. And then Humana also has some of their plans in certain markets that will offer a gym membership. Again, you pay quite a bit more for that, but that would be the Silver Sneakers option as well. But all the rest of them, whether it's Aetna, Cigna, Mutual of Omaha, all the others, they're not going to include a gym membership. All right, next. Okay, Danny, are there any negatives at all when switching from one G plan to a cheaper G plan? I can save about $70 a month by changing to a cheaper G plan. I should have no trouble. No, Danny, there's no negatives whatsoever. As long as you've done your homework, or if you're one of our clients, that we've looked at the company you want to move to, and making sure that they have a pretty good market presence wherever you are, then I wouldn't hesitate at all. That's substantial savings. So what I like about what you're doing, if you're going to save $70, you're also setting yourself up for more stable rates, because you're going into a brand new group, younger population, probably larger group as well. So that's a very good move to reset the clock. So no negative. The way I teach it is a G is a G is a G is a G is a G, meaning they're standardized plans by Medicare. So no matter what carrier you go with, all the bills are paid the same type of bills, the same amount of bills. So you are not at all compromise coverage for a second. It will be the same coverage for sure. So save the $70, stay healthy, and then if your premiums go up again in a couple, 3, 4, 5 years, you want to switch, you can continue to switch. Okay, good move on that, Danny. Okay, who's next? Okay, PD, if someone has Medicaid, then upon turning 65, will Medicaid pay for the original Medicare premium? Also, what is the Medicare premium? Okay, so here's the way that works. The majority of people that are on Medicaid now will continue to qualify for Medicaid once they're also Medicare eligible. However, in most states, I think you do have to reapply, meaning you just have to update your numbers, your income, address, and all that, and to re-qualify for Medicaid. And so depending upon what level of Medicaid help you have will determine whether your entire full Part B premium is paid for or not. Some people, yes. They do get their Medicare Part B premium paid for. This year, that's $185 a month. It'll cover it. And so those plans are called extra help programs. They're also called Medicare savings programs. So whenever you apply for Medicare, you can also apply for continued Medicaid eligibility. They'll let you know what a person qualifies for, and they'll say, yes, we're going to cover your Medicare B. We'll also cover your help with your drugs and those kind of things. But you got to apply for that to know for sure what that eligibility amount will be. Very simple to do. Just go right to the state Medicaid office. You can even do it through Social Security as well, and let them know that you want to stay on Medicaid. They'll ask for the new numbers, and then you'll find out what eligibility you have. All right, great question. Let's keep going. All right, how can I find a Medicare broker in Central Arkansas? Well, call our 800 number. We are in all 50 states, and so we can serve you in Central Arkansas. In fact, we do a lot of business in every state all over the country. And the nice thing about someone like us is that you can always call in and get service. Sometimes when people say, I want to have a local broker, well, how long has that local broker been in business? Are they working out of the trunk of their car? What happens if you have a problem? They're going to be able to help you, because so many people in this business today just want to write plans. They're not interested in servicing clients. So what happens when you have a broker that won't service you, then you call an 800 number and you're going to end up in the Philippines or India or China somewhere with a customer service department. If you work with someone like us, we have our own customer service team. You call us and we take care of you. All right, so we'd be happy, and we can serve and give you everything a local broker could do right here in our home office. Okay, we'd love to help you too. Give us a call, please. All right, I have TRICARE. We'll sign up for Medicare A and B prior to turning 65. Good. I'll automatically then have TRICARE for life as my supplement. Do you recommend any additional coverage? Suzette, no. If you're number one, thank you for serving our country. I know that's why you have TRICARE for life, retired military. So that's a very good option. You have A and B, and then your TRICARE will serve as secondary to Medicare. It also includes a prescription drug plan that's credible coverage. So that's a very good option. I will tell you one thing that some TRICARE people are doing, and again, not all are, but many do this, what you're also eligible for would be a Medicare, what we call an MA only plan, Medicare Advantage only, MA only plan. And so what happens with an MA only plan, the TRICARE will coordinate all benefits with the Medicare Advantage plan. Medicare Advantage pays first, TRICARE then will pick up the balance. So you should have, really nothing out of pocket. And then also what happens when you have an MA only plan, you continue to get your medications through TRICARE insurance, and then because you're doing that, that Medicare Advantage plan will actually give you a credit on your Part B premiums. And we'll see that sometimes as much as $150 or $175 a month. So it almost makes your Part B premium almost zero. And so that's a very unique option for people that have VA, TRICARE, or retired civil service called FEHB. They're the only ones that can do that. Again, we have an MA only plan, so your in and outpatient is coordinated with the Advantage plan and TRICARE. And then your prescriptions come right through TRICARE, and because of that, again, you get that credit back on your Part B. It's called a Part B give back. So that means something you want to explore as well. So those are your two options. Have A and B and TRICARE secondary, or A and B replaced by a Medicare Advantage plan. TRICARE will coordinate with them and then give you that Part B give back. All right, so again, option. And the good thing about that, Suzette, if you try an MA only plan, it's not permanent. You can try it for a year, and if you don't like it, during any Medicare open enrollment season, you can get off the Advantage and go right back to A and B with your TRICARE. All right, great question. Thank you. 71, planning to retire at the end of the year or in January. How soon should I contact you to start planning? Okay, the ideal time is right about 60 to 90 days. You can't apply 4 or 5 months in advance because the paperwork cannot be done that far in advance. So what happens is coming in at 71, you're going to come in using what we call a special enrollment period. And so we'll initiate that paperwork for you. So 90 days would be ideal. So what I would do, if you did, let's say you did retire at the end of December and you want to start your coverage in January, I would contact us sometime in September for an October appointment, because if you're going to start in January, the new drug plans won't be out until after October 1st. And then everything will be current. We can help you with all the special enrollment paperwork, the L564 and the 40B. Our agent will do all that for you, get that to you so that you can have your employer complete it, and then you get it to a Social Security office. But my point is that paperwork cannot be dated any sooner than 90 days of your effective date. So if we're going for a January 1 start date, your ideal timeline then would be anytime after October 1. If you're going to start in January, you'd be fine anytime around the same time. It's going to be fine, but about that 90-day window is perfect. Reach out to us and we will walk you through that whole process, and it'll be done right. It'll be done on time as well. So just reach out to us and get on our calendar. We'll take care of you. All right, Jody, I would like to change my dental plan. Can I do that at any time? Well, Jody, yes, you can. Dental plans are, we call them ancillary products or standalone plans, and so they're not tied to Medicare. And so what you want to do, though, you want to make sure that if you make that switch, that you don't go without dental insurance, because sometimes people will drop a plan and go without a while, and then the new company you go with may impose upon you waiting periods. They will cover preventive immediately, but they may put a waiting period of 6 to 12 months on your basic and major services. And so it's fine to change them. You can do it anytime you want, but I'd move from one to another. So say the one terminates July 31st and have the new plan start August 1. That way you should eliminate any of the waiting periods. Okay, great question. Okay, does Medicare with Plan G cover overseas travel and vacations? Okay, here's what happens. It will to a limit. The G plan as well as the N plan, both of them have what we call foreign travel emergency coverage. Medicare outside the U.S. or U.S. territories doesn't cover anything. But supplemental plans G and N, a couple of the others, will give you $50,000 lifetime benefit. So you use it, it's gone. But $50,000 for foreign travel emergency benefit. So if you're out of the country and you have a claim, what happens is you have to pay a $250 deductible, and they take the balance of that claim, and the insurance company pays 80% and you pay 20%. But their 80% stops at $50,000. So if you had an air evacuation or some, extended stay in a foreign country, that $50,000 would go very quickly. But yes, you do have some coverage for sure. What I recommend people doing is when they travel through their travel agent or credit card or some other group, get some travel health insurance. And a good travel health insurance plan will cover you for about $100,000, true medical expenses. We'll also have some kind of an air evacuation rider for maybe $1 million if you had to be air evac'd out of a situation. So that's a good plan, because just because they make them available doesn't mean they're good. So be sure to pay attention to the fine print. Okay, I've used American Express before, a company called Travel Insurance Center of America. There's a couple of them out there that are really, really good, but be sure to pay attention to the plan, how it's going to pay, how much, and kind of some of the fine print, and be sure it has air evacuation included. All right, good question. Let's go. All right, if you go on a Medigap plan, are you stuck with your first choice, or can you change companies without medical qualifying? Okay, well, it just depends, Gary, where you live. If you live in a state that's referred to as a birthday rule state, I'll let you know what those are. It would be California, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Nevada, Oklahoma, Illinois, Missouri, it's called the anniversary rule, Louisiana, Kentucky, Maryland, Virginia. Those states have rules where you can change your MedSup company. You can move usually from a like plan G to G or G to N. Some states, Illinois and Louisiana, it's just like to like. Missouri is like to like, so I can go G to G or N to N. Most states are like to like or like to less, G to G or G to N. You just can't move up in quality of policy. So that happens in birthday rule states. If you live in New York, Connecticut, Maine, or Massachusetts, you can do it again without medical underwriting. So I rattled off there about 12 states that have birthday rules, 4 that have open enrollment at other times of the year. So if you're not in any of those states, then yes, you're going to have to medically qualify to move. The first 6 months on Medicare, we can get anything we want. Based upon our age, of course. We can get any plan that's sold in our state. But after 6 months of the B date, we're outside now of what's called the Medigap open enrollment period. Medigap open enrollment period allows you to get a Medigap policy, no underwriting, but it's 6 months of your B date. You can apply 6 months before the B date. It goes into effect on your B date, but then we're still in that window for 6 more months after our B date where there's no underwriting. We can switch plans, we can do whatever we want, but after 6 months, now we have to medically qualify, okay? And so the answer is some people do get stuck. In fact, I just helped a couple today on a plan, and they've been my clients for years, and had some price increases, so we shopped it, and they were not crazy high, but we're able to save him $30, and he moved from one carrier to another, but his wife, we could not get her through medical underwriting. So again, she had to stay right where she is because, again, they were in a state where they did not have the birthday rule, okay? So hopefully that helps. And I tell people, hey, if you can move and you can save $30, $40, $50, I definitely would do it because your health may change in 6 months. You may never get to do that. So go ahead and reset the clock when you have an opportunity. Thank you. All right, can Plan G cost up mid-year, or can companies only raise their cost January? Okay, well, it is very rare, Don, that a company is going to change in January. I'm not saying that couldn't happen, but it's not as a general rule. And so what happens is the majority of companies, and basically all of them, but United Healthcare, are going to have an annual increase at the anniversary of your policy. And so some states go up a little bit because you're a year older. Some states go up when they do a group increase. That's the two ways that prices can go up. It can go up at birthday, or it can go up as a group. Now, if you happen to live in a state which is called community rated, or a state which is issue age, that's only going to be a group increase. Okay, on states where they're attained age, those policies go up a little bit every year when you're a year older, and then they also can have group increases as well. So attained age policies start the lowest, issue age is kind of medium, and community is going to be much higher. And so I want to make sure you know that it's not about January 1st. It's not about the Medicare open enrollment season when we see price increases. It's usually tied to the policy anniversary date. So if I start a Medicare, let's say I start my MedSup plan this month, July 1, unless it's United Healthcare, then I will see a potential price increase next year, next July of 2026. That's just the way it works. Now, the reason United Healthcare is different is because what they do in almost every state in the country is they give enrollment discounts. So once you start a policy, what they do is they take like an 83-year-old rate and they discount that down about 39 or 42% to a lower premium. And then, so you get this big discount when you first come in, and then every year they remove 3% of that discount. So your first year could be 39, and then it's 36, then it's 33, then it's 30, and then it's 27, all the way up until about 83, and then that enrollment discount is gone. And so what happens is that enrollment discount, that happens every year. But let's say United Healthcare takes a group increase in April. But your policy anniversary date is in December. You may feel like you got two increases that year because they split those up. Most companies make it a combined increase, age as well as group. United Healthcare, again, removes the enrollment discount at policy anniversary and then could take a group increase sometime usually in the spring, maybe April, May, or June or so. Okay, so not trying to overwhelm you, but that's the way it works. So there's just no hard and fast rule. Everyone goes up first of the year. It doesn't happen that way. All right, let's keep going. Okay, when you say PPO plan, do you mean original Medicare or PPO? No, yeah, PPO would be a type of an Advantage plan. Preferred provider organization. You have health maintenance organizations and these preferred provider networks. And so that is Advantage plans. When I talk about original traditional Medicare, that is what we call an open access system. There are no networks with original Medicare or supplemental plans. You can go to any provider, any doctor, any hospital that takes original Medicare. So yes, PPO, definitely Advantage. Okay. All right, I'm turning 65 on Social Security disability already. Do I have to apply for Social Security? No. In fact, LaWanda, when you started your Social Security disability, what happened is the payment they're paying you is actually very close to what you would have been eligible for at your full retirement age. So you don't have to reapply at all for your Social Security to move from disability to regular Social Security. But listen, that's not going to happen until you hit your full retirement age. Your Social Security is still going to be paid out of the disability trust fund, not that original old age trust fund. It's different. But that won't happen to your full retirement age. So that's probably 67 or maybe 66 in a few months. What's going to happen though at 65, because you're on Social Security, your Medicare card is going to show up 100 days prior to your birth month. So let's say you're turning 65, let's just say August. So back at the clock, July, June, May, you would have gotten your card in April. Your Medicare card is mailed to you 100 days prior to your birth month. So if, let's say someone's turning 65 in November, back at the clock, October, September, August, they're going to get their card sometime in July. It just happens that way. Everyone that's on Social Security, whether that's going to be disability, you are going to have this opportunity to be able to start your Medicare all over. So let's say, LaWanda, you came in Medicare because of disability at 59. What's going to happen at 65 is you're going to get an opportunity to reset the clock and get a Medicare supplemental plan with no underwriting, pick a new drug plan out if you want. If you want to get an Advantage plan, you can do that. You just reset the clock. So anyone that's eligible for Medicare because of Social Security disability, once they hit 65, they can start over again. You have the same Medicare number, nothing's going to change with your Social Security, but you do have this wonderful opportunity to pick out new plans if you would like to do that. And I would take advantage of that. We actually call it the IEP2. IEP2. All right, let's keep going. Does your company have access to all companies that offer Jeep plans? Well, Dennis, I would say this, the majority of companies. There are a few companies that we don't write for because we don't want to. We know of the companies, they don't have a good market share, therefore they're not going to be as stable. There's just things that about them we're not comfortable with, so we're not going to put our clients in those plans. But I can assure you, any company that you would want, we're going to write for. okay? Yeah, definitely. We write in all 50 states, have all kinds of carriers to choose from. There's very few we don't write for, but again, that's our choice. Because a lot of them just don't have big enough blocks. And if you don't have a big block, a good market share in an area, you are not going to be stable with the rates. And so we just don't want to put our clients in that kind of position. All right, next. What are the benefits of working with a broker over the state ship counselor? Well, I'm not being sarcastic in any way, okay? Because I think there are some ship counselors that do a good job. But there was just an audit of the ship counselors across the board, and it was embarrassing for that organization how pitiful many of those ship people were. In fact, it was so bad that there was someone in Congress that said, we're wasting money, let's pull that program. And let me tell you why. It's not they're bad people and they don't intend it when they want to help people, but unless they actually have been in our business, our side of the business, they only know one aspect of the business. They don't really understand how everything works. So they may give you advice, and it could be great, but it could be very detrimental. And so the benefits of working with the broker that's been around a while, that knows what they're doing, that cares about you, that's reputable, I think they're going to provide a lot better service, than your ship counselors. Because again, the ship counselor has just been trained in certain areas of Medicare. But all the ins and outs of things that I would know, they wouldn't have a clue of knowing. Unless, of course, they're in the business and maybe they retired or something. But normally, the ship counselors just want to help people, and they're limited to the training that's given to them. And again, I'm telling you, that audit was embarrassing for that whole organization. All right? So I think you're better off with a broker that knows what they're doing. That'll talk about Advantage, we'll talk about subs, drug plans, and help you with all the enrollments and everything that really goes involved with that decision. A good broker should serve you tons better than the ship would. And by the way, it didn't cost you anything to use ship, and it doesn't cost you anything to use a broker. Our services are totally free to you. We don't work for free, but we're paid by the insurance company, and there's no extra charge. So let's say someone said, I'm gonna go with ship, and ship says, go with United Healthcare, use that plan. And you went with us and we wrote a United Healthcare plan. The premium is all the same. The insurance company set the premium. There's no difference in what you're going to pay for that. The difference is what kind of assistance are you going to get initially, and then what kind of assistance are you going to get after that as well. And again, SHIP's not going to have any kind of customer service set up. They're just helping people when they first come into Medicare. And so a good broker will cover all the above and give you that full service. All right, let's go. Next. I have ARP, United Healthcare. I'm also a member of AMAC. Would I be able to get a better G through AMAC? Listen, I'm not sure. I know what AMAC is, and I'm not sure exactly what group AMAC actually promotes. I know ARP promotes United Healthcare. They certainly get royalties for that. They have that kind of hand-in-glove relationship. I do not know exactly who AMAC goes through. We do not run into AMAC very often. I listen to Mark Levin. I like his program, so he promotes AMAC, and so I'm all for that kind of thing. But I honestly do not know exactly who they would refer out to. It just don't know, and so I just don't run into that very often at all. So I have no experience with that. All right, let's keep going. All right, do you have anyone I can talk to about Irma's situation? I may have gotten myself into by taking Social Security payout too soon while still employed. You guys got me all set with getting my A, B, G, and D. Yes. Why don't you do this? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to call in. You're one of our clients, and ask for Christina. Christina is a lady in our customer service team, and give her your name and your phone number, and I'll call you. And I'm happy to help you with this. Just call Christina. You see the 800 number there. And tell her that Marvin said that I call you back, and she will let me know who you are and what your phone number is, and I'd be delighted to call you. Now, I'm not going to call you tomorrow. I'm off Thursday, Friday, but I definitely will call you first part of the week. And so just let us know. We're happy to help you with that. I'll call you and call you from my cell phone, and we can talk about anything you want to. Happy to help. Let's keep going. Any more, Daniel?
Yeah.
Hang on just a second. I'm going to grab a quick drink. Okay. Okay, well, deductibles and cuts going up on G plans on 2026. Okay, Well, right now, we do not know what the deductible will be. Last year, remember the B deductible was $240. It moved to $257, so it went up $17. I would suspect we're going to see some kind of an increase with the B deductible. It's not out yet. We actually won't have that out until probably, Daniel? October, November. We're always disappointed. We'd love to have it sooner, but that's usually when they publish those. Yeah, and cuts going up on G plans. I don't know what you mean by cuts. What'd you say? Yeah, I'm not sure at Joyful Living what you're asking, because if you have a G plan, the only thing you have to pay for is the B deductible. So maybe rates going up on G plans. Most rates do go up on an annual basis. Again, historically, we've seen somewhere around 5 to 7%. As of late, we've seen higher just because of all the medical inflation. But again, we don't know. And usually the rates are tied to your policy anniversary date. So if you started a policy December 1, you're going to hear about a rate increase usually 30 to 60 days before that. If you started it February, again, 30 to 60 days before that. So, but the B deductible is set by Medicare, which we should find out October, November later this year. All right, let's keep going. So do you guys monitor our supplemental plans if we are clients? I can't remember if I called you when I changed my supplemental in January 2025. Yes, we do. Yeah, we have a system that monitors that, and then we also have a website internally that you can go to even monitor that yourself if you'd like to. It has up-to-date rates daily. And so that's just a service that we provide. That particular website is called medigapcompare.com. You can use it, anyone can, but all of our clients are trained with that and are told about that. So it's medigapcompare.com. That is us. And so you can go on that site, and you don't even have to put a personal information in, just put your zip code and your date of birth, and actually will shop all the rates that are available in your area. So you can always kind of stay up to date on what's happening with premiums. All right, good question. Let's keep going. Derek, I won't turn 65 in October. I'm covered under insurance through my wife's job. That has over 100 employees. Good. Do I have to do anything without being penalized? Okay, no, you don't. As long as there's more than 20 employees, and there clearly is, you say there's 100, so you're good. Now, I want to clarify something. I'm saying that you don't have to because your wife continues to work. And I say that because sometimes people are covered by a spouse's retiree plan. And then if you're covered by a spouse retiree plan, you have to go on Medicare A and B. But if it's active employment, 100 employees or more, you don't have to do anything. Now, Derek, I would advise this. If you and your wife are not contributing to an HSA, a health savings account, then I would still go ahead and take Medicare A only. You don't have to enroll in A only because you're going to be penalized, because that's not true, but just take it because there could be benefit. Again, if you have an HSA, do nothing. But if you don't have an HSA, enroll into A only. Your birthday's in October, so back up the clock. September, August, July. Okay, now anytime you can enroll into A only. And when you go online, you have a myssa.gov account, and you do a Medicare application. When they ask you about B, just say no to B, but take A only. And the reason I'm suggesting this is, number one, there's no cost for you for A. Number two, there may be something that A would cover that your group plan doesn't cover. And then if you did have a hospitalization and you have coinsurance, then Medicare A could pay some or all of that coinsurance for you. Your group plan pays first, and Medicare would pay second. So I would encourage people to take A only as long as you don't have an HSA. We were hopeful that the government was going to change the HSA rules. The House passed it, but the Senate did not. So I'm not sure after they've compromised and figured out what the final bill is going to look like, if they're going to allow people to put money into HSAs even though they're on Medicare. The House said yes, but Senate said no. So we're not sure where that's going to land. But as it sits right now, if you have Medicare A or B or both, no new money can go into an HSA. So as long as you don't have A or B, you can keep contributing. All right, let's keep going. Teresa, Medicare Advantage agent, told me I may have substantial payments for catastrophic injuries. I am thinking of moving from Plan G. Can you please explain the catastrophic phenomenon? Well, what they're talking about would be what we refer to as a max out of pocket. Every Advantage plan is required to set a max out of pocket for that year. HMOs are in the neighborhood of somewhere between $3,000 to $5,000 a year. PPOs are somewhere maybe $4,000 or $5,000 upwards to $10,000 or $12,000 on a PPO plan. And what that means is on the Advantage plan, you're paying as you go. You pay copays, $400 a day to go to the hospital, $300 for an MRI, $250 for maybe an outpatient surgery or whatever. You get all these different series of copays. So we copay until we hit the max out of pocket. And if we do reach the max out of pocket, then we're done for the year. And then what happens if you're, and then January, those max out of pockets reset, and now we're back to copay until we hit the max. So if someone had some catastrophic event, maybe cancer, or some, maybe serious heart issue, or, diabetic, issue where they're hospitalized and they're having complications, then they could max out. That would be catastrophic. And that catastrophic limit is called max out of pocket. And so if you're concerned about that, then I don't know. I mean, of course, I hope you know, Teresa, when you move off that G, you're also going to have issues with networks, pre-authorizations. The plans change every year. But if it's a financial move where you just cannot afford your G anymore, you don't want to, you may look at an N plan. That's going to be a little more budget friendly, yet still a Med Sup plan. Or if you go to a Medicare Advantage plan, then I also would do some kind of like a critical illness plan, hospital indemnity plan they're called, and those are plans that will actually help you with some of the out-of-pocket expenses if you had something catastrophic, such as cancer or some other issue. It'll help with some of those copays, so you don't have to come out of pocket to reach that max. Okay? Hope that helps. Let's keep going. John talked to Chapman Good a few days ago about my future Medicare needs. She was so kind, very helpful. Answered all my questions. I've been appointed for next year. All right, sounds good. And John, we appreciate you telling us about your experience with Chapman. She is a sweet lady and a hard worker and integrity. I just really like her. She's an excellent agent for us, and we appreciate you letting us know that it went well. She'll take good care of you. She knows what she's doing. All righty, let's keep going. I will call today. All right, we look forward to hearing from you. We will do our best to serve you. Let's keep going. How long does a special enrollment? Oh, well, it just depends on what kind of special enrollment we're talking about, because there are a variety of them. And so a special enrollment period for a drug plan would be 63 days after you lost employer coverage. Special enrollment for Medicare B can last up to 8 months after you lost employer coverage. So I have to know what you're referring to. Probably you're talking about getting into Medicare A and B. And so the special enrollment period for B lasts 8 months once employment date ends. But here's the thing. You got to keep this in mind. If you are past 65 and you retire and you are no longer working, you need to start Medicare A and B immediately. Yes, you qualify for an SEP for 8 months after the employment coverage ends, but what kind of insurance you have? Cobra? Oh, Cobra pays second, and you pay first. So you should start Medicare as soon as you retire. You should. But special enrollments, there's several of them. So I need to know more before I can tell you precisely which one you're talking about. All right, who's next? Do you ever recommend delaying Part D if you have no RX currently or at the max IRMA upcharge? So paying $1,200, okay. Okay, Daniel. I don't recommend it, but I understand why people do it. I definitely have clients that have done that. The only issue is this, Daniel. Okay, so the highest IRMA, so your IRMA on the drug plan is 85, let's call it $90 a month, okay? If you go without a drug plan to save the $90 a month, and by the way, you have to have money if you're at that, okay? So, it's what is that, $1,000 a year. So I still would do it, and I'm going to tell you why. Because if you had some kind of a serious health issue and you need a medication, I have people right now, and I'm not exaggerating for a second, I have people right now that are on self-administered chemotherapy pills that cost between $5,000 to $7,000 a month. I have clients right now that are on Stelara. Stelara, low dosage, $13,500 a month. Normal dosage, $27,000 a month. Okay, so there are a lot of expensive meds out there, folks. And so, Daniel, what happens if you had an expensive med that you needed? Now you're going to have to pay for it out of pocket because you can't add a drug plan anytime you want. Once you don't take a drug plan initially, not only you're penalized, but you can only add one October 15th to December 7th. That goes into effect January 1. So let's say you had a serious health condition in April and you need expensive meds. You're out of pocket. where if you go ahead and bite the bullet, pay the IRMA, it's $1,000 for the here. I understand that, but now you have a $2,000 max on medication. So if you did need an expensive medication, I don't care if it costs 15 grand a month, it's going to cost you $2,000 for the whole year. So to me, I wouldn't risk it. I just would not. And I know it's frustrating, especially when you take no meds. I don't like IRMAs either. I start Medicare in 65, and I'm going to be in your same position. Okay, I'm going to have a high IRMA, but I still would not go without a drug plan because I like the max out of pocket, $2 grand, and so you're going to have to spend $1,000. So that's what I'd recommend. That's what I would do. That's what I will do. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, SSDI still employed with company health plan, but not working. Okay, turning 65 in March, started me on Medicare Part A, plans B, D cheaper if you're disabled already. Oh boy. Okay, still employed. I don't understand, you're still employed, but not working, so you must still be covered by a group plan. You know, John, right back in, I'm not clear what you're saying. Started me on Medicare A, our plans BDG cheaper if you're disabled already. Okay, you're going to have to clarify, John. I'm having to guess too much on your situation. I don't want to do that. Okay, so give us some more information, and I'm happy to answer your question, please. All right, I have congestive heart failure, mild but getting worse. Now I'm 67. What letter plan should I get? I don't know what I have now. Something from Aetna. Well, you should be able to look at the card in your wallet or purse and see what it says. So if you have a supplemental plan, it should have on there a G or an F or an N, most likely. Or if you have an Advantage plan, it should let you know about that. So you need to look that up. So if you're 67 and you've been on Medicare for a while, you're not going to be able to qualify for a supplemental plan, not with congestive heart failure. But if you're brand new to Medicare and we're still within 6 months of our B date, what I would do is I'd either get a G plan or an N plan. They're both very, very good options. G plan is going to be a little bit more comprehensive than the N, but the N is still very good. The N doesn't cover excess charges, which are rare anyways, but the G does, N doesn't. And then the N has some copays. When you see a doctor, it costs $20. Go to the emergency room, it costs $50. But depending upon the premium difference. So if you'll call in and let us know your situation, we can quote both of those for you to see what works. Today, I had a lady that was in an area, and I wrote her a G plan. She was 67. We looked at G and N. There was only $30 a month difference, and so she just felt like $360 savings was not worth the possibility of excess and paying some copays. So she went with the G. Other people, I had a guy earlier in the week. The difference was almost $60 a month between G and N, and he went with the N plan. I think that was a very, very good decision. Okay, so both are good. It just depends on that initial premium difference, and I'd want to know that before I actually made my final decision on that. Okay, all right, let's keep going. Rich, so I have 6 months till I'm 65. Would you contact first Social Security or your office? Well, Rich, let's talk about this. Number one, if you're on Social Security already, then you're going to be automatically enrolled into Medicare. If you're not, and I'm assuming you're probably not on Social Security, if you want to start Social Security at the same time as Medicare, we actually can do all that for you. You're fine to call Social Security, but as long as you have a myssa.gov account, Rich, we can help you with everything. Help you get enrolled in A and B, Social Security at the same time if you want to do that. Really what I would do is just make sure you have that myssa.gov account. Most people today are using the login, I think they call it, login.gov site where you set up an account. It doesn't take very long. You'll use an email address and a password. And then once the account's set up, when you want to go into that account, they send you a 6-digit code to your cell phone or email, and then you can access all your records. So I would get one of those SSA.gov accounts. Some people call it a myssa.gov account. It's all you need, and then give us a call. And again, most states, we can begin to help people 6 months prior to their birth month. And so give us a call, and we'll walk you through all the timing, all your different options. Be delighted to do that. And then if we have any problems with something, then if our agent tells you you need to call Social Security, then you could do that. But as a general rule, normally most people start with us because we can set up everything. Or honestly, almost anything the Social Security office can do, we can do for you. We can. All right, next. for companies that offer spouse discount, do you get it when you enroll, or do you have to wait until both spouses turn 65? No. Here's the way it works. So there's two types of discounts. The household discount, which means you're married or you have a significant other, then that discount comes when your policy goes into effect. If you have a multi-policy discount, that means both spouses are going to be with the same insurance company, then both policies have to be in effect to get that policy. So again, household is when you start, multi-policy is when both of those plans are in force. What did you say, is that it? Okay. Okay, we're looking for a question here. Sorry, give us just a second. Okay, Shelby. So you pay both the Part B premium and the premium for Plan G or N on top of that if you decide to go that direction. That's true. Yeah. If we have a supplemental plan, Shelby, or an Advantage plan, we have to be enrolled in A and B. And so if we get a supplemental plan, then we have a separate premium for that. And again, I don't know where you live. I'm just going to give you kind of average. Right now, most N plans are going to be in the neighborhood of about $100, maybe $105, give or take. And most G plans right now are going to be in that $140 to $150 range. Again, you may be in a state it's a little bit lower, a little bit higher. I'm just saying, generally speaking, that's a good average to look at. All right, now, if I go with the Advantage plan, then it's more than likely not going to have a premium. 2 out of every 3 Advantage plans today are 0 premium. The other 1/3 have a small premium. So they're pretty much 0 premium. You pay Medicare the $185. So instead of paying the Advantage a premium, what are you going to do? Well, you go to the hospital, it's $400 a day. You have an MRI or a CAT scan, it's $300. See a specialist, it's $50. So you have these series of co-pays that you pay instead of a premium. So point is, Shelby, either way you're going to pay. So what I would do, I would say, hey, if you can afford a supplemental plan G or N, to me, I think most people are much more satisfied with that system because, again, no pre-authorizations, you don't have to deal with networks, it's a permanent plan. If you're in Alaska or Florida, it doesn't matter, the coverage is all the same. Where Advantage plans are only 1 year at a time, pre-authorizations regularly, networks always, and they change. And they're not portable. They're just not. I mean, I've had people from the Midwest be on an Advantage plan, go to Florida on vacation, have complications to getting good service there. So you just never know. And I'm not saying Advantage are bad because they're not bad, but I still think there's some qualities of supplemental plans that if you have the money, I think it's money that is well spent. All right, let's keep going. John, clarification. I'm 64 now, getting Social Security disability. Good. Social Security enrolled me into Part A, but still on my company plan. Good. When I turn, are my Medicare plans going to be cheaper because I am disabled? And the answer is no. No. As a matter of fact, depending on where you live, your options of being on Medicare and disability prior to 64 are limited. Some states don't even offer supplemental plans for those that are on Medicare because of disability. Some states do, some don't. Some state insurance commissioners require it, but they allow them to charge more money. So you're not going to be getting cheaper rates because of disability. Now, John, what's going to happen for you when you turn 65, then yes, you're going to be in that period of time where you'll be able to get cheaper rates because you're no longer going to have to pay that surcharge or the extra amount for getting a supplemental plan while on disability. At 65, you can reset the clock, and so they're not going to really hold that disability issue against you any longer. At 65, they're going to treat you like any other 65-year-old person. They cannot charge you any extra. So hopefully that's what you're looking for. When's going to be the best time to do it? So at 65, it would be your best time. So once that B date starts, you have 6 months where you can get anything you want, and there's no underwriting, and they cannot charge you extra. Okay. How does the $2,000 max out-of-pocket work on Part D plans if your drugs are covered by the plan and has $100 a month premium, and you compare that to a plan like WellCare, which has 0 monthly? Okay, here's what it works. Ian, what we do, we have a site, MedicareSchoolEnroll.com. You can do this on Medicare.gov as well, but put your medications in, dosage and frequency, and then let that do the comparison. Because it is true, the WellCare plans are 0 premium. However, what happens sometimes on your Tier 3 medications with WellCare, you're going to pay a higher coinsurance. So I think I know the plan you're talking about. There's probably that United Healthcare plan right now. In most markets, it's about $91 to $97, but it has a very broad formulary. But if I'm comparing apples to apples, where WellCare has all my plans, all my prescriptions in the formulary, and I've looked not just the premium, but I looked at my copays and that max out of pocket. If that makes more sense than paying a higher premium, then I would do that. The majority of people that are on lots of meds are going to find that higher cost plan, United Healthcare plan, is going to cover more medications, because the medication has to be in formulary to be applied to the $2,000 out of pocket. But if all your meds are in formulary, then I would think that WellCare could make sense. But look at the annual cost. Go to Medicare.gov or our site, and you put your meds in, it'll show you what that annual cost is going to be. And there's plenty of times where I have seen where the higher premium plan ended up having a lower annual cost than what the WellCare plan did. I'm not bad-mouthing WellCare. We write WellCare plan all the time. It's zero premium, so that's very attractive for a lot of people. But again, to compare annual costs, because it'll look at all the copays, the coinsurance, the premiums, everything, and it'll give you that annual number. And so sometimes it's worth it to pay more to get a better formulary, to get that 2,000 cap over all your meds, instead of maybe a formulary that's not quite as broad, that will not include all the meds. Okay, I hope that helped. Good question. All right. Okay, folks. Hey, thanks so much for watching. We'll plan on seeing you Monday night at 5, and again next Thursday at 5 as well. Reach out to us if we can help in any way. We'd be thrilled to do so. Thanks a lot. Take care.